Bobi Wine, and other political figures, particularly those associated with him. In August 2018, Mr. Wine, whose actual name is known as Robert KYAGULANYI, Mr. Wine, as a member of parliament, was arrested in August 2018. Immediately before his arrest, his driver was shot and killed in Mr. Wine's campaign vehicle. The driver was taking a break in the back seat and was apparently mistaken by security forces for Mr. Wine. In December of this year, and the complaint details this, and another attempted assassination of Mr. Wine took place. This occurred when the passenger windshield in front was shot through. The complaint identifies the bullet hole impact entry right where MP Frank Zake was sitting in the front seat. And this is a second attempted murder of Mr. Wine. Mr. Wine was tortured in a highly abusive fashion in August 2018 to the point where he left for the United States for hospitalization. At least a dozen of his campaign staff were arrested on that occasion. This process has continued through the present day. Most prominently on November 18th, Mr. Wine was arrested for campaigning allegedly in violation of COVID restrictions, which are being used by the regime, as we show, to prevent opposition candidates from campaigning. The president of the state will say, well, my campaign also obeys those rules, but they're designed to give the Museveni administration a monopoly of media and deny actual campaigning to opposition candidates. Most significantly, this has resulted in arbitrary arrests and abuses in prison. On November 18th, Mr. Wine was arrested. Protests erupted in Kampala and elsewhere in Uganda. On that occasion, shoot-to-kill orders were issued by Security Minister Tumwine, who has acknowledged this in a report to BBC. 54 people were killed between November 18th and November 20th by police and military forces. All of these individuals were political protesters acting according to the Constitution of Uganda and the UN Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. None were committing offenses. Many were innocent bystanders in the sense that they were not even protesting. A 12-year-old boy, Joshua, was killed as he waited with his mother for a bus to go home after she had worked. He was not in school because of COVID closings. We detail in the complaint not only the deaths of these individuals, we've shown a series of photographs demonstrating a consistent pattern of abuse, of striking these individuals on the head, either by firing or with batons. Each photograph shows the same entry wound in this section of the head, demonstrating a training pattern by police in Uganda. We also demonstrate in the complaint the mutilation of many individuals. In particular, we show a boy about 8 to 10 years old whose legs were crushed and severed by military vehicles. He's shown very poignantly trying to gather his severed legs, pulling them together, saying "mama" in the air as he does this, and then falls back apparently unconscious. There are other video links in the complaint of similar mutilations. These are the types of incidents that are violations against international human rights law. These are crimes against humanity. To run over children and mutilate them who are either protesting or bystanders is a violation of international law. We also document the indiscriminate shooting through videos attached to the complaint by police and military. We document as well President Museveni's statements inciting police graduates to use violence against civilians, Minister Tumwine's shoot-to-kill orders, and Colonel Abacha's instruction that even non-violent offenses will be dealt with by shooting with the purpose of killing. Finally, we document additional arrests. We document the killing of Mr. Wine's security aide on December 27th, the shooting in the head of his media consultant, and the shooting in the head of Asharif Kasiri, a journalist covering the campaign. We also show at paragraph 94, I believe, a video clip, and you can go to the link that's embedded, demonstrating journalist Asharif Kasiri being beaten in the street with batons by 5 Ugandan soldiers who chase him down the street, force him to the ground, and repeatedly hit him in the head with batons. Rather than simply arresting him for whatever offense they think he committed, he was attacked by batons by these soldiers. This is representative of the instructions and the institutional practices. So this complaint is being filed. It is a complaint asking for prosecution of the individuals named, and it was filed and submitted this morning to the International Court Prosecutor and to its public spokesperson. Now let me turn the floor over to Robert KYAGULANYI, also better known to you as Bobi Wine, for his statement.
Thank you very much.
Bobi, you are muted, we believe.
I'm trying to unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much, Bruce Afran, and thank you very much, Jeffrey Smith. I really appreciate, and on behalf of the people of Uganda that are being massacred, it is a pleasure and such a momentous opportunity to present this case. I am glad that we are able to raise a case against General Yoweri Museveni and there's other generals and the people that is using to massacre the people of Uganda. I am a citizen of Uganda, a member of parliament, and also a presidential candidate. But I have faced the brunt of the regime here in Uganda on orders of General Museveni. I'm glad you mentioned the brutalization of Honorable Francis Zake, who was beaten, and up to today, he cannot see with his plain eyes, he cannot walk unsupported. And not only him, many other people. Myself, I have been beaten and tortured on a daily. Right now, as we speak, many of the members of my campaign team are under arrest. I was abducted by the military on the day of nomination, beaten, pepper sprayed, and dumped at my home. Also, on the 18th and 19th of November, when I was illegally arrested and detained in the infamous torture chamber of Nalufenya, more than 100 innocent civilians were shot and killed by the police and military, and also people that had automatic rifles but were in plain clothes. It was later confirmed that General Museveni ordered for the murder because he was speaking in one of the campaigns, and he said it that when he saw that people were protesting, he ordered the military to sort them out. And indeed, the military sorted them out by murdering them, shoot to kill style. Although General Museveni mentioned that it was only 54 people that were killed, our human rights desk has reported more than 100 deaths, while many are still languishing in prisons and others are in hospitals. Many atrocities have been committed on the orders of General Museveni. For example, on the 30th of this month alone, my entire campaign team was arrested by the military on the islands of Kalangala, and up to today, they are still under illegal incarceration. 4 days ago, 85 of them were given bail by the courts of law, but the military still abducted them. Today, when some of them were in a bus heading for court, the military diverted the bus with 76 people, and up to now, nobody knows where they are. Just a few hours ago, about 2.5 hours ago, the new campaign team that I had put together, including my medical team, my welfare team, and my political assistant, a total of 23 people were arrested and detained in unknown places by the military. Many people have been murdered, being run over by police and military trucks. Many of them have been murdered, shot to kill style, while many of them have disappeared. So I'm very glad that this case is being presented in the International Criminal Court. We are aware that Uganda is one of the signatories of the Rome Statute. We are aware that Uganda was among the first to bring a case to the International Criminal Court. General Museveni himself brought a case against Joseph Kony to the International Criminal Court, and indeed, a warrant of arrest was issued for Joseph Kony for crimes against humanity. So it is my humble prayer, and it is my hope that the International Criminal Court will see it necessitating and indeed viable to see that General Museveni, General Eri Tumwine, and many others are presented to the International Criminal Court, because justice should chase everybody. Otherwise, the people of Uganda are continuously suffering in the dark. I thank you, Smith, and I also thank you, Bruce, for this opportunity.
My pleasure, an honor. Thank you, Bobby. Jeffrey?
Thank you very much, Bobby. Just a reminder to journalists on the call, please do send or raise your hand rather, notify me in the chat if you have a question. I will then go to you and we can unmute your phone. I have not seen any come through yet, so please do so there. But I know we have received in the lead up to this, Bruce, a few questions about when the ICC complaint was filed and what the next steps are in that process. What does that effectively mean for today? Maybe if you could lay that out for some of the journalists on the phone, that would be helpful.
Thank you, Jeff. Before I do that, let me just add one point I had meant to say earlier. Among the allegations are also that lawyers for the Wine campaign and investigating abuses have started to be arrested by the Museveni regime. That includes most recently Nicholas Opilio, who was detained for 7 days. He was a world-renowned human rights lawyer. He won the German Africa Prize. And he was detained on falsified financial charges after he spoke publicly in favor of the Wine campaign's position and began investigating abuses by the regime. And so once the regime begins to move against attorneys and journalists, it crosses from any pretense of constitutional government and enters the boundaries of dictatorship. And that's precisely what has arisen here. As far as the process is concerned, we have filed the complaint. We have detailed representative samplings of the abuses. The next stage is for the prosecutor to review the complaint and presumably commence investigation. In most cases, the prosecutor does investigate and then makes a decision as to whether to bring charges. So this complaint triggers an investigative process. The prosecutor will then determine over the next several months, presumably, or sooner, we would hope, its decision as to enter charges. Let me also add, we received very strong support from Senator Menendez, Robert Menendez, who is the incoming chairman of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and from Chairman Bass, who is the chair of the House Foreign Relations Committee. And other alternatives are hearings, both in the US Congress and in the British Parliament and other forums, to highlight the abuses of the Museveni regime. And we expect that will likely follow as well from this filing. So I hope that gives a general background of procedurally where we stand.
Thank you very much. Maybe Bruce, if you would allow me to also add that journalists are being gravely targeted. An example is Ashraf Kasirye that was shot and is fighting for his life in intensive care unit. And everybody around me has been targeted with live ammunition. The reason why I am wearing a bulletproof jacket and a ballistic helmet is because I expect a live bullet targeted at me anytime. I have had to evacuate my family and sneak them out of the country because my family also has been targeted, and we had information that my children were to be kidnapped in order to subdue me into accepting whatever. So I'm glad that I was also able to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby, and thank you, Bruce. We've had several questions come in. I'm first going to go to Jeffrey York from the Globe and Mail. Jeff, if you can hear us and you're unmuted, please go ahead with your question for Bobby.
Hi, Bobby. I would just like to ask you about what it's like to go out on the campaign trail every morning under those conditions. What is it like when there's been so much tear gas, bullets, and so on? How do you feel at the beginning of every day, and how do you overcome the fear that you must clearly feel? You've already just mentioned it could be a bullet at any time. How do you deal with those kind of very strange circumstances?
Well, honestly, I feel terrible. I have to exercise every morning, do some shadow boxing, and say a prayer with the team in order to get some sanity to be able to go on the campaign trail. I get up with people every day, but by the end of the day, some are in prison, some are in hospital, and some are dead. Just like today, I got up with 25 people, but by the end of the day, it is just me and the driver and Honorable Zake. 23 of them have been arrested by the military, and we don't know where they are. The only thing that gives me hope to keep going is that wherever we go, we see yearning voices of change. People lying on the sides of the road for hundreds of kilometers in their thousands just to wave to us and show solidarity to us. That is what keeps me going every day.
Thank you, Bobby. We have a few more questions. I'd like to go now to Rodney at the Associated Press. Rodney, if your phone is unmuted, please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Bobi Wine. My name is Rodney Muhumza. I am calling in from Kampala. My question is about the events last night in the US Capitol. I'm sure you are watching that. What was your reaction to the violence we saw last night? And how does that, the whole electoral fight in America, President Trump contesting the legitimate victory of Joe Biden, how does that complicate the work of activists like yourself who are fighting for democracy, who are fighting against electoral fraud? How do you see yourself relating with the outside world, with America in light of that? Thank you.
Well, I believe in democracy, and I believe in the rule of law. And that is what I wish for every human being. That is what I wish for every country, to be governed by the rule of law, to be governed with democratic principles.
Thank you, Bobby. We also have a question from Dana Balut. If you can unmute your phone and you can hear us okay, please go ahead with your question.
Honorable, move.
Officer, I am on. Officer, it is not illegal to park on the side of the road. Officer, I am on a press conference, officer. You see, as we speak right now, I'm being harassed by a police officer for simply parking on the side of the road to talk to the press.
Bobby, if you do need to go and you need to leave us for a few minutes, we certainly understand.
Officer, I am talking to an international press conference. It is not illegal to park on the side of the road, please. You're embarrassing our country. I'm on I'm on the side of the road. I'm on the side of the road. Okay? We are on an international press. Please don't embarrass our country.
Do you want us to embarrass you?
No, sir, I am on the side of the road. I am on an international press conference. You are embarrassing the country. I am not doing anything wrong. I'm not committing any crime, sir. But from where, when I move, the network is going to go off. Kindly give. As you can see, this is how I'm being treated by the police. I am parking on the side of the road so that the network does not break off. But unfortunately, I am being harassed. I'm not even allowed to park on the side of the road so I can talk to international press. That is what we go through every day.
Bobby, your safety and your security are obviously the priority here. If you need to go for a few minutes and you're able to
as a matter of fact, I would really now I'm being arrested. As you can see, I'm being arrested.
Who is the presidential candidate?
Look, what are you doing?
Okay.
Keep it going. Keep it going. That is what is happening. Oh, let me keep going.
Moses, keep
This
it going. Press it.
Sir, you are breaking the law. You are an officer of the law. You are an officer of the law. Okay? You are an officer of the law. Okay? You are an officer of the law. No. No, it's all right. Let them behave in whatever way they behave. Okay? As you can see, they are shooting at us. We have not committed any crime. I've only parked on the side of the road to talk to the media. And now they are arresting me for speaking to the media. They're shooting live bullets. Keep it.
It's unmuted. It's okay.
Sir, I am not committing any crime. Okay? I am parking on the side of the road. Sir, I'm a Ugandan and I'm entitled to. I parked on the side of the road. Okay? You are embarrassing our country. What you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is illegal. And I am not going to be intimidated because you are a civil servant. Okay? That is what is happening.
Oh my God.
As you can see, they've tear gassed me. I'm not allowed to speak to the media. This is a senior police officer that you see shooting live bullets just because I parked on the side of the road. Sir, we are not breaking any law, okay? We are not breaking any law. Sir, it's okay, you can even shoot at me, but the world is watching you. This is illegal, this is wrong, okay? Sir, you are embarrassing our country, okay? Please, you are an officer of the law. Don't do that, please. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Sir, I parked on the side of the road. This is the side of the road, okay?
Now, why are you blocking this?
No, you are the one blocking the road, officer. Give me a handkerchief, please. Hold this for me. Please give me a handkerchief. Officer. Sir, let me tell you something. I am a citizen of Uganda, and we are governed. Nobody, sir, you are an officer of the law, okay?
You see what you are doing. And
You are the ones blocking the road. Anyway, I will still on. Let me give me the phone. Give me the phone. Let me continue with the press.
Yes, it's okay.
So Bobby, we still hear you. We don't have video currently.
Yeah. You don't have video?
We do not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me try to. I'm
recording you live.
I'm trying to put video. Can you help me? How do I get to video mode? Where do I touch to get video mode?
Bobby, there should be a camera image that you can press.
Can you hear them?
I'm still trying to start the video.
The time is even running.
Start video. Kindly, if the host could enable me so that you can see what exactly is happening. It says you cannot start video because the host has disabled it.
That
Oh
is,
my.
I'm working on it, but you should be able to activate your video if you click on the start video button.
Start video. It says you cannot start your video because the host has disabled it.
Peter, this is Jeff. My video has been disabled as well for some reason.
Okay. Okay, try it again, please.
Okay, we're good. Bobby, you should be able to activate your video now if you're able.
Yes, I am back again. I'm sorry, I've been tear gassed in my car. The police officer is ordering that I'm not supposed to park on the side of the road and speak to media. I try to explain to him that I'm speaking to international media and I need stable internet, and that is why I parked on the side of the road. But as you could see, he dragged me out of the car, he tear gassed me, pepper sprayed me, and this is the same police officer. As you can see outside, there are loads of police officers that have been deployed.
Bobby,
Unfortunate.
do you feel safe enough to continue this, or should we get you to a safe place? We do have some questions coming in, but obviously that's secondary priority right now. Your safety is number one, so please, we defer to you here.
Well, the biggest safety that we get is having cameras around us. Maybe if I was not on a camera, maybe something worse could have happened. We are dealing with very ruthless police and military officers. Many times, military soldiers dressed in police uniform, and they have orders to harass me, to embarrass me, and to do anything to me that will make me relent and stop standing for what I stand for.
And Bobby, what town are you currently in for those interested?
I am coming from the campaign trail that was cut short by the military and police because they arrested everybody on my campaign trail. So I am on my way to Kampala. However, because the time for this interview, because the time for this interview got me on the roadside, I parked on the side of the road to be able to address the media. It's just unfortunate.
Where exactly are you now? Where exactly are you now?
I am, where is this? I'm at a place called Bugembe along Ginger Road.
Thank you for that. I know we had some questions from journalists asking that. And do you feel safe continuing with questions, Bobby? We want to defer to you here.
Sure. I will be able to answer a few questions. I've
Okay.
labored to explain to the police officer that I am only talking to the media and I'm parking here because when I move, the network will flip. Maybe they will allow me complete the press conference.
Okay, thank you, Bobby.
Bobby, can I ask you a question?
Yes,
are you
please.
able to see any nameplate or identification on the officer?
They have a habit of removing the name tags. Sure, can we? Yeah, they have a habit of removing the name tags from their uniform. I see him cocking his gun. If you'll excuse me, try to, yeah, it's fine. If you'll excuse me, I'm trying to get to safety.
Certainly.
I'm sorry that this is happening, but this is the life that we live on a daily basis.
Well, we're seeing Bobby a real life demonstration of the very
I'm really sorry. I'm sorry that this is happening.
Are you still able to hear us okay, Bobby?
Yes, I'm able to hear you and I'm able to talk to you.
We do have a question from Nazanin from Reuters. Peter, if you could unmute our colleague from Reuters.
Hi, it's a question for Bobi. I just wanted to ask whether there's been any reaction from President Museveni or the government to this petition to the ICC. And if not, are they expecting any reaction? And if so, what kind of reaction?
Well, I'm not aware of any reaction. The only reaction I've heard from General Museveni about the ICC in the past is that he said that the ICC is a bunch of useless people. So other than that, I've not had any reaction from General Museveni or his people about the International Criminal Court.
Actually, Bobby, we have not actually served them yet. It only became public an hour ago. So they may not yet have seen it. I would expect you'll hear something in the next day or so.
Thanks, Bruce. We also have a question from Michael O'Hagan from AFP. You can ask your question, please.
Hello, thanks. What can you tell me about the evidence you have about the allegations you make about the events of the 18th of November, specifically about what military unit or agency the military men patrolling Kampala were from? And secondly, you mentioned the video of the boy whose legs were mutilated. Can you give me some details about that person's name and some personal details? Because the state alleged that that video was not recorded in Uganda or on that date at all. Thank you.
These videos were provided by witnesses to the events of November 18th. The state has prosecuted virtually everyone associated with the wine campaign in any capacity, whether as candidate, security advisors, bodyguards, media consultants, or lawyers. As a result, the individuals who were the videographers are not willing to certify their name to the document because of the government retaliatory actions. That video was taken in Kampala on November 18th, 2020, and depicts a boy whose legs were blasted apart by military and police forces. We do know that the Special Forces Command is active on the streets of Kampala during that time.
Excuse me. Yes, please. Let's go. I'm on. Okay, guide me where I can stop. Okay. Then I'm pull. You guide us where to stop. What do you want exactly? Sir, I am talking. I'm having a. As you can see, everywhere I try to park so I can address you, I am constantly harassed by police officers. But I'll try to speak to you.
Bobby, I want to add one more comment that the military and police forces, as you've said, removed their nameplates and insignia when they patrolled in Kampala. So in answer to the question from AFP, I believe it was, they hide the unit identification as well as their names. And so the government conceals that information.
Yes, they always hide, they remove their name tags, they remove the insignias, and even they remove the number plates on their vehicles, because I'm convinced they do that because they know what they're doing is criminal. So apart from those that we know by face, it is hard to tell the names of the police officers that are committing all these crimes.
Thank you, Bobby. We have a question from Karine Duplessis. If you're still on the line, Karine, please go ahead.
Hi, yes, can I unmute myself? Thanks very much. It's Karine Duplessis. I'm from News 24 in South Africa. I have a question for you about the continental bodies that could have helped you, like the AU's having a summit at the end of the month, and there's also the African Court. And I was just wondering, have you made efforts to approach these bodies, and what have been the response?
Well, we've made efforts to raise these complaints with regional bodies. We have not gotten a response. And that's one of the reasons why we opt for the International Criminal Court, because General Museveni seems to, to bulldoze everybody that there is.
Thanks
Great
very much.
question, Corinne. Bruce, did you have anything to add to that as the attorney on record here?
Yes, thank you, Jeff. We obviously are considering going to the African Court as well as the UN Committee on Civil and Political Rights. Those are options we will explore as well. But we felt the ICC was the most neutral and independent body. The UN Committee has no mandatory power. It's very important to understand the ICC can arrest people. Every law enforcement agency in the world will respect its warrants. So if they should indict, General Museveni will be unable to leave Uganda, and he and his officials will be subject to arrest. That's why we went to the ICC, because it has the power to arrest these violators, including General Museveni. The other courts won't have a power of arrest, nor will the UN Committee. That's one of the reasons we've chosen to go this route to the ICC itself.
Thank you, Bruce. That's helpful. I know we also have a question from Sally Hayden from Vice News. Sally, if you can hear us, please go ahead.
I'm sorry, they are shooting, but I hope you can still hear me.
We can hear you. Sally, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't know if Bobby wants to, if we should just watch him for a while. I'm happy for my question to wait. I was just asking about the relationship between the wine campaign and Vanguard Africa, and also between Bobby and Jeffrey Smith, just so we can clarify that.
Sure. Looks like we have some events happening with Bobby right now. Bobby, again, if you need to go, we certainly understand. Sally, to your question really quickly, we at Vanguard Africa have been working and partnering with Bobby and his colleagues for about 3 years now, helping with issues like this, getting media attention on the clampdown, raising awareness about the upcoming election, the human rights violations that have been taking place over the course of several years. We've hosted him in Washington, D.C. several times, building relationships for him with congressional leaders and government officials. And we're doing this for a number of reasons. And first and foremost, as we've seen today, it's to help keep him safe, to quite literally help keep him alive, and to continue to embody the hopes and aspirations of Ugandan citizens. So it's a completely pro bono engagement, and we've been honored to assist him. Bobby, I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that, or if you can right now, but certainly feel free to jump in if you would like.
Well, what can I say? Anything that can be done to call General Museveni to order and to ensure that he calls his soldiers to order, and to ensure that he adheres to the principles of the Roman Statute, to ensure that he respects the rule of law and the fundamental human rights, we would appreciate. I'm only glad that I am able to raise the voice of the voiceless Ugandans. I am only glad that I'm able to expose what is happening in Uganda to the world. But what the world is seeing is just a small sneak peek of what happens in the country. I am a presidential candidate, but as you can see, if I can be harassed like this, tear gas and pepper sprayed like this, you can imagine what is happening to the Ugandans that don't have a voice. That is why I take the risk to make sure that I raise the voice of the people of Uganda, to ensure that at least we can have the world to call General Museveni to order. I'm sorry, I'm talking under the pressure of tear gas, so I might not be able to raise or answer the questions appropriately. And whenever I cannot give the right answers, I want to ask Bruce Afran to stand in and respond to the necessary to the questions that are being asked.
You've been doing fine, Bobby, so feel free to continue.
Yeah, thank you. And Sally, it sounded like you had an additional question there, or if not, I can move on.
No additional questions. Sorry, I was just saying that it's it's hard asking questions in this situation. Like if Bobby wants us to just stop and watch as well, we can do that at any point, I'm sure.
No worries. Thank you. We have a question from Abu Bakar from Deutsche Welle. Abu, if you're still on the line, please go ahead.
Thank you for having me. I was wondering if you've taken into account of the, so to say, the unpopularity of the ICC across Africa. And we all know one of the criticisms is that the ICC has been unfairly targeting individuals from Africa, or biasly targeting individuals from Africa. What would you say to someone who will criticize you, saying that you're doing this to draw attention about your own political campaign, just as a political point that serves your interest directly, not really the interest of the Ugandan people?
Well, is that my question? I'd be happy to answer it.
That's a question for you, Bobby.
Thank you very much. First of all, like I've said it before, I don't come into this struggle for freedom and human rights as a politician. Everybody knows that I'm not a politician until 3 years ago, when I saw that we could not rely on the intellectuals of this world. I'm a musician that was oppressed, that came to represent the plight of the majority of the people that do not have rights whatsoever. So it is my hope to find redress from anywhere. I am persuaded by the values and the principles that the International Criminal Court stands for, and also knowing that Uganda is a signatory to that Roman Statute, and also knowing that the crimes against humanity that were brought up against Joseph Kony are the same crimes against humanity, or even more, that a sitting president is committing against his people. Many of the people do not have an opportunity to raise their plight. So I come in to raise the plight of the common people at a great risk. I know there are thousands, if not millions, of people that are going through what I'm going through, but they do not have an opportunity to address international media. They do not have an opportunity to approach lawyers and human rights defenders. And now that I have that opportunity, I try to seize that opportunity and ensure that I raise this plight to the face of the world. It is not a political thing, it is realistic. Whatever you see here is reality. This is not a movie, this is reality. These are police officers that are supposed to be officers of the law, but they are throwing tear gas in my car. I'm a presidential candidate. And according to the laws of Uganda, I have the right to campaign. I have a right to move on the road. I have a right to park on the side of the road, to talk on phone, or to address international media. But as you can see, I, as an individual, I have been stripped of all the rights. And indeed, every Ugandan that dares to disagree with General Museveni is stripped of all rights and indeed sentenced to death without trial. So that is the plight of the people of Uganda that I'm trying to raise. If it was about me, then maybe I would be silent. But millions upon millions of the people of Uganda are relying on voices like mine.
Thank you, Bobby. Bruce, I'm not sure if you had anything to add to that.
I don't think there's any need to. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I would like to go now to Halima from National Public Radio, if you are still with us.
Hi, yes, and actually I am with the World Radio program in Boston. Mr. Kyagulanyi, I mean, given the human rights allegations you've mentioned, do you feel like the international community has been paying attention, doing enough to support and kind of address these human rights abuses that have been alleged? And what do you want to see from the international community, either other African countries or otherwise?
I feel like the international community has not done enough to help the people of Uganda. I am aware that the US bankrolled General Museveni. I'm aware and that Uganda is a huge recipient of foreign aid, of military aid from the United States. And I'm aware that so much money is being borrowed in the name of the people of Uganda and that same money is being used to oppress the people of Uganda. So the international community, having seen what is happening to the people of Uganda, and not only happening now, but what has been happening for a long time, from the massacres in Kasese to northern Uganda to what happens every day. I really wish the international community could make the observation of the rule of law and respect for human rights as a precondition for cooperation with Uganda, so that the international community does not continue to appear like a partner in crime to General Museveni.
Jeff, if I can add to that, if I may.
And actually, Bruce, just to put on your radar here, Michael O'Hagan from AFP asks a similar question about Kasese. So after Bruce, you go, let Michael jump back in here as well, because I think he'll have a follow-up question. So Michael, be on call.
Let me just add to that then, that we are seeing some changes now in the international community. And the leaders of the foreign policy committees in the US Congress last week both issued statements. Chairman Bass in the House Committee and Senator Menendez, who's now going to be the chair of the Senate Committee. And he's the second ranking foreign policy figure in the US next to the Secretary of State. And in his statement, he bluntly stated that the US government should not accept a US ally who represses its own population with US aid. And that was a very strong statement from the incoming chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. So we're starting to see, because of these abuses of the regime, the beginnings of a significant change in international attitudes. And I think that's going to continue more and more.
Great, thank you, Bruce. And Michael, if you're still with us, I saw your question about the ICC and Kasese in particular. If you're still with us, please feel free to come in now.
Yeah, thanks. Last month, the ICC Prosecutor's Office threw out a complaint about the Kasese massacre, although it didn't dispute the facts in question. It said that the killing of 155 people did not meet the required threshold of intensity and organization to be considered to be prosecuted by the ICC. Can you give some examples of cases that are similar to your allegations that have been successfully taken up by the Prosecutor's Office in the past?
I assume that's a case question for me as a legal matter.
Yes, please, Bruce. Yeah.
Certainly, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't believe there's been a complaint brought to the ICC dealing with systematic governmental actions of this nature. In general, the complaints have been brought as to frequently private parties who have been acting in this way. But the major case brought, though, was in connection with Bosnia. And there, the Serbian government and military figures were prosecuted for systematic human rights violations. Other than that instance, there has been no filing as to a governmental set of actions in recent years. The Kasese incident, for lack of a better word, was a singular event, and that may have driven the prosecutor to find that there was no consistent organized attack by a governmental entity. But here we've alleged over a period of 2 years a constant governmental practice of engaging in this type of repression. And we've documented 3 governmental figures, the Commandant of the Special Forces, the Prime Minister, and General Museveni, who've all endorsed either shoot-to-kill orders or direct violence against political figures and protesters. And we've seen how this has been consistently escalating over the past several months, actually beginning in August 2018, after Mr. Wine became a member of parliament. So unlike the Kasese situation, we document clear institutional and routinized practice by the government. So we think this is a different situation than in Kasese in terms of the evidence that exists. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, over there.
Well, we are not allowed to. We cannot even get fuel. Let us proceed. Wow. Yeah, that's what's happening.
So we're almost coming to the completion here. We have one final question here, I believe, from Morris, if you're still with us, from Africa Report in Zone Afrique. If you're still with us, please go ahead.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
My question is to Bobi. So the polls are 7 days from now, yeah? A week from now. What events do you have planned for the next 7 days, and how are you and other opposition groups working to make sure that Museveni doesn't steal the election?
Thank you very much. The polls are in 7 days now. My most important mission is to be alive in 7 days from now. If I'm alive, I hope that the law can be respected. I hope that the voices of the people of Uganda can be respected, because from the look of things, I am looked at as a criminal, as a rebel, and I'm treated as such. So I hope that in the next 7 days, General Museveni does not besiege me, does not send the military to surround my house. And I hope I will be able to cast my vote. And I hope that the people's voice will be respected. My only role is to raise enough awareness. My role was to lead the people of Uganda non-violently, constitutionally, and legally into an election where I believe most of the people, my generation, 85% of the population who have never seen another president, 85% of the population that are younger than me, that are below the age of 35, those young people that have been under military rule for the last 35 years, I hope that General Museveni can respect their voices. Or I hope that the world leaders can push General Museveni to respect the voices of the people of Uganda. That is what we hope for. We are doing the best that we can to keep sane, to keep the law, not to lose our heads, not to lose morale under unbelievable conditions. We try to continue to be non-violent and to encourage our supporters to be non-violent in the face of unimaginable violence, but to turn out and vote. And I really hope that General Museveni will respect the voices of the people of Uganda. And I hope that the International Criminal Court can call him to order and remind him that he's also a human being. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. We have 2 minutes left for one last question. We have a question from Dana. Dana, if you're still with us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeffrey. Thank you, Bobby. Bobby, it's a follow-up to what you were just talking about. You know, there's been a lot of reports in the past and currently on voter intimidation. A lot of voters are scared to go to the polls. What advice, what message do you have to your supporters as they fear going to cast their ballots?
Well, my advice to the supporters is that it's important that they turn up and vote. It's important that they be non-violent. Just turn up and cast your vote. I've encouraged the supporters to use their phones and record all the proceedings at the Electoral Commission, well aware that the regime is on rampage, arresting journalists and arresting anybody found doing Facebook Live or found filming what the soldiers and police are doing. I've already informed you that yesterday 3 online journalists were arrested, and today another bunch of 6 journalists were arrested together with our campaign team, bringing it to 23. So it is very, very disturbing. It's very, very challenging, but I have continuously encouraged our supporters to turn up and vote. And also we have an application called YouVote that we have encouraged our supporters to use to take pictures of the declaration of result forms and send it to the YouVote application. We believe that will help us also be aware of the results that are coming out of the election. Other than that, we can only hope that the International Criminal Court, we can only hope that the international community, and indeed the Friends of Uganda, will also hold Uganda accountable to the same values that bring us together.
Thank you so much, Bobby. Bruce, we're about out of time, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity to close us out if you had anything additional to add.
I will just say that I can't add much to what Bobby said. I will say this is about the rule of law. This is about stopping the direct slide into dictatorship from lawful government. The ICC process will continue long after the election. And we expect that General Museveni will not yield to the likely result or what it should be. And we are fearful that he will apply violence as he has thus far on the 18th and 19th of November to any protests that should emerge. And we hope the regime will understand the world is now watching Uganda and it needs to abandon this violence and this despotism. And I want to just acknowledge what Bobby has done today. Many people would not do this. We sit here in the United States free of all this. And Bobby's commitment is one of sacrifice, and it's consistent with many people in the 20th and 21st centuries who fought for freedom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bruce. Thank you so much, Bobby. We will definitely be watching you this next week in the lead up to January 14. Thank you for your continued inspiration, your bravery, and for speaking with us today. Thank you, Bruce, for your incredible efforts for filing this complaint. And thank you to all the journalists for joining us today. Feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any questions, any follow-up. And thank you again. Everyone be safe out there. Bobby, especially you. Please keep us updated, and we'll certainly be watching. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Bruce. Apologies, I was not in the best comfort. I hope to talk to you in a more comfortable atmosphere next time. But we don't take for granted the efforts, and we thank all the journalists, all the media houses for continuously shining a light on our plight. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Bob.